Ciara and Teffy respond to the backlash regarding their comments that they made about Anaya on last night's Aftersun episode, y'all. Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, anything I say is alleged and in my very, very personal opinion. This for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal. The Copyright Act of 1976 is in the description box. Some meat and potatoes, some housekeeping items. So, today we are talking Love Island USA Season 8, Episode 22, Aftersun, a follow-up video from the review that I did last night's episode of Aftersun. Because there is now backlash, and so for those of y'all who do not know what happened in the Aftersun episode, it was very pro-male. It was very pro-KC. It was very pro-sincere. You know what I'm saying? Like they're allowed to do whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? But my thing was, the whole thing of it was, I was completely off the exploring at this point, right? My issue was the disrespectful comments and how Casey and Corbin, you know what I'm saying, where we're just getting away with saying the most disrespectful and hurtful things about both Anaya and Kenzie behind their backs. And the worst of it, the only thing that, solidified things for Kenzie was that she got that disrespectful comments during the live stream of the heart rate challenge. Nobody else got that. They saw stuff that they were not happy about, but it was mainly Corbin that was like, I'm off Kenzie, throw her out the window, my connection's done, I don't need to see anything else. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't the energy from the rest of the guys. Yeah, they were doing the most, but they always do the most on these challenges because the season's freaked out. But my issue was that Ciara, who went through what she went through with Wes on Summer House, had the audacity to come into this Aftersun show being all team Anaya, you know what I'm saying? Being all team Anaya and KC, and him calling her the blueprint, and how KC spoke life about Anaya being a dark-skinned black woman, considering the history of dark-skinned black women on this show that have been treated, that have been humiliated, that have been played, and all of this and all of that. Now you do a complete 180 and say, oh, Anaya should have known better. Anaya should have saw the signs. How was it that Kenzie was able to quickly get off Corbin, but you couldn't? You turned down, you know what I'm saying? Carl's fine, ASS, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, I think people are not giving Anaya any grace. They're not giving her any empathy or any sympathy at all because they're just looking at it as, oh, you should have known. You should have known from that basic picture of KC kissing TT that Anaya should have moved forward, as if she has not kissed Carl outside of a challenge twice. As if this cast has not been conditioned for this entire time, for 4 weeks, to basically not make a big deal out of these freaked out challenges. That's the system that y'all have set up. And the thing of it was that I made note of is even after Anaya saw that postcard and she got upset, what did she do? She immediately went to her closet in the bedroom and pulled out Casey's letter. Because I told you, Casey love bomb. Casey got in Anaya's head that everything is good. Our couple is strong. There's zero reason for me to switch up on you. There's no reason for me to talk to bombshells. Why would I risk something that we have for a bombshell that I'm unsure about that's going to jeopardize what we have been building this whole time? You're the blueprint. When I see dark-skinned black women, I think of you. You know what I'm saying? All of those things. And then even in the letter saying, hey, I know we had some problems, but I'm locked in you. I don't want to do this with anyone else but you. Those were Casey's words. So when that is ingrained into your brain for 3 weeks and you have no access to the outside world, no access to, the internet, social media, you don't even have access to what we've seen Casey say to both the guys behind Anaya's back and then how he was moving at Casa. Anaya is like, yes, I am happier with Carl in 3 days than I've been with Casey and everything else. Yes, you know what I'm saying? I have a lot in common with Carl, all of these things. However, for 3 weeks, I'm also aware that Casey brought up in one of our arguments that he was still pissed about not being chosen day 1. And even though I have chosen him day 2 at the red light, green light door, I chose him day 6 at the recoupling over Sean. I chose him day 13 at the mailbox challenge. I just chose him, and I'm going to choose him tonight. I'm going to choose him tonight at the Casa recoupling. That is 4 times since the door challenge on day 1 that I've chosen KC. So this narrative that Anaya doesn't like black men, when her mom has come out and said that all of her exes have been black men, she's dated nothing but black men. The narrative that Anaya is colorist, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not understanding that if you're choosing KC, who is a dark-skinned black man. You're choosing to continue your connection with a dark-skinned black man, right? Anaya has been down bad for KC, so much so that the other girls are telling her, you need to get off that. You need to get off KC. You need to move on. But here's the thing that y'all want to leave out. Prior to Casa Amor, for 3 weeks, these girls were telling Anaya, get out of your head about KC. Get out of your head about KC. Y'all are a strong couple. Y'all are Gucci. Y'all are fine. It wasn't until Anaya found out that KC switched up on how he actually would have wanted to keep Soul. That was an issue with Anaya because he previously had told her that there was no way. There was no way he was moving to Soul. So she looked at as something to where KC was not being transparent with her. And then that was the first time when she confronted KC about it, he actually confirmed it. The other times when Zach told Anaya that KC said that Anaya basically was a safe option to him, when she confronted him about that, he denied it. He started laughing about it. You know what I'm saying? When they've had multiple conversations about him wanting to explore, he said it's not true. He said it's not true because Anaya said, I'm not here to limit your experience. I'm not here to restrict you. I'm not here to have you feel like I'm doing something wrong. If you want to explore. Don't feel like you gotta, you know what I'm saying? Do this for me. So Anaya was completely blindsided at the Casa recoupling because she's replaying everything that's happened up until this point. And is thinking that KC is still locked in on her regardless of that picture because everybody was kissing outside of challenges. Zack Attack was kissing outside of challenges. Sincere is always going to kiss outside of challenges. The only person who didn't do anything was Bryce. But y'all don't got smoke for Melanie turning down Corey or Kata turning down Che. Y'all only got smoke for Anaya choosing KC. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, it's weird. So what has happened is Ciara and Teffy said this. You guys need to effing relax. We filmed for 6 hours. Perspectives get left on the cutting room floor. I could psychoanalyze all of Love Island for hours and write a dissertation on black people / colorism on reality TV. Don't talk to me about how I failed to see any person of color's perspective or how I need more empathy. I've quite literally lived it. And then Teffy says, I am not an executive producer on the show, and while me and C can suggest ideas, we do not have access to footage or voting or anything like that. We filmed this last episode from 3:30 p.m. to 9:45 p.m. Every episode we are called too biased and then not too biased, and then we support the women too much, and then we're too hard on them. Then we are insinuated with male-centered and then man-haters. We can't please everyone because we are human. Thank you for watching with a heart emoji. This is my thing, right? And this is why I hope Carl makes it back to the villa. Because what happened last night was the rest of those Casa men, you know what I'm saying, was coming at Trinity, saying, this is right when they got dumped, coming at Trinity, saying Trinity was crazy, saying Trinity had lost her mind, that they loved TT for standing up for Casey, and Carl was like, I disagree. Trinity was defending her friends. And then they tried to come at Anaya. Oh, I bet she's going to regret this. I bet she's going to feel bad for not choosing you, all this, all of that. And Carl was like, listen, Anaya was going through a lot. Anaya had to do what she had to do. I care a lot about Anaya. Anaya was the only girl that I was interested in basically shutting it down of any potential bash Anaya session or any type of glazing of KC. And then in the actual Aftersun episode, when the men reconvene, you got Corey up there saying, oh, I want to give KC his flowers. He did that. And the way TT was defending him and standing for her man and da-da-da-da-da, I love that. And I'm thinking to myself, y'all all just sat here and talked about how Melanie deserves better than Sincere. You know what I'm saying? That Corey should be a better choice than Sincere. Yet, for some reason, you don't see how those same arguments can be applied to Anaya. That Anaya deserves better than KC. You're basically saying Anaya deserved it. And so then, Carl had to come in and basically say, listen, look at here. KC is not wrong for having another connection or even bringing TT back to the villa. The problem was the way he went about it. The problem was the way he spoke to Anaya. Her face completely dropped. They were there, you know what I'm saying? And she was completely shook. She was not expecting any of this. So that is why my foot is on production, because ultimately, either you intentionally did not show anything that was going to be too damaging against KC, because you knew that if you showed Anaya actual video footage and video receipts of KC saying the things that he was saying about Anaya at Casa Amor, you knew then she wasn't going to pick Casey. But you wanted her to pick Casey because you needed a Casa Amor victim. But my thing with Ciara and Teffy is that y'all went from week one, and this is the same thing Aftersun did last season, where they were glazing Shelly in the beginning, I think like the first week or something like that, and then they were all glazing Huda. And they were uplifting all of Huda's nonsense. So now we got this season. Y'all went from glazing and praising Anaya to now all of a sudden, oh, she should have known better. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know, she didn't do enough for Casey. Like all the signs were there. How come Kenzie was able to figure it out about Corbin, but not Anaya? No. Corbin was the only one that said he basically was uncoupling during the heart rate challenge. That there was nothing for, like there was nothing else for there to see with it. Nobody else did that. Nobody else said what Corbin said during the heart rate challenge. It wasn't until after the fact, where the live stream was off, where KC was freely talking about how, you know what I'm saying, he can't wait to get back to the villa, basically to humiliate Anaya. That basically he was off Anaya, all he did was pour life into her and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But here's my thing about even the pouring the life into Anaya comment is none of this stuff was followed up with any actions. So he's telling the Casa girls, Anaya didn't do enough to reassure me. She picked you every single time. she's telling you how attracted to you she is, how interested in you she is, and she loves what the two of you are building. And she thought that you were her Prince Charming. Like what else was Anaya supposed to do? Oh, more physical intimacy on a dating show that is the number one dating show right now. You know what I'm saying? She was supposed to be putting out for TV. You know what I'm saying? Like the other people were in the villa. But yet, the moment that black women do that on national TV, what did y'all do? Y'all SLUT shame them. Y'all give Kenzie a pass and y'all give Jen a pass, but y'all will SLUT shame black women each and every time if they do it. Oh, I knew she was easy. I knew she just wanted to give it up and da-da-da-da-da-da. Now, all of a sudden, it's a crime because it's against KC. And I can't figure out at this point if some of y'all are just so attracted to KC that y'all think y'all got a chance with KC. I'm just trying to understand all of this protection regarding KC. Y'all sat here for 3 weeks, and some of y'all are still doing it, calling Anaya a colorist, and that she's anti-black, and that she doesn't like black men. Yet, she's chosen a black man 4 times on this show at the expense of her own connection that now has herself vulnerable to potentially be dumped from the villa, is how much she was choosing a black man. For all intents and purposes, it didn't sound like she's ever dated interracially before, according to her mom. So that could have been also a hesitation of her picking Carl in terms of if there's already narratives that are put upon her where Casey doesn't feel chosen from day one. And now she's going to switch up and choose Carl at this Casa recoupling. Then y'all would have said, oh, I knew Anaya was colorist. I knew she was just pretending to like Casey and all of this and all of that. Casey is validated for bringing back TT. Anaya's been performative this whole time. Y'all would have completely flipped it. Y'all just don't like Anaya. But my issue is that the way y'all just trying to build any type of case against her when the only thing she did was choose wrong at the recoupling. She chose wrong. We can agree on that. But where I disagree is some of the rationales people are coming up with. Oh, she chose Casey because all of her friends chose their couples and da-da-da-da-da. No, that girl has been love bombed for 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? She's been love bombed for 3 weeks. They were voted one of the top couples that America likes. She was rereading that letter. That letter is ingrained in her brain. She probably has that letter memorized that Casey wrote her, explaining why he's randomly joking and laughing in the middle of their conversations when she's trying to be serious. Yet he had no problem being serious and cutting off their connection to Anaya's face in front of everybody. You know what I mean? So it's weird how, every season we deal with this where there has to be a black woman that is humiliated, that's played. And that's why I kept saying KC is if Caleb from season 2 and Timmy from season 4 had a baby. And the only difference is their masks did not fully slip until after the show was over. They were able to maintain this facade the entirety of the 6 weeks that Love Island USA films. That is primarily the difference. But as far as everything else goes, you know what I'm saying? Casey did the same type of love bombing that Caleb did from season 2. Timmy, when he was interested in a bombshell, but tried to play like he wasn't, but wanted the bombshell, you know what I'm saying? Wanted Bria's brother to do kind of the picking for him so it didn't look like he was the one that outright picked the bombshell. That's the same thing that happened with the Soul situation. KC wanted Soul, but wanted Soul to go after him, but made it seem like to Anaya, he was not moving from where they were at. But then in the 11th hour, when it's her last day, now all of a sudden, you're interested in her, you would have pursued her, you would have explored things with her, you're gonna go hard now at all the bombshells, and all this and all of that. And I think the bombshells at Casa have convinced KC that he is the prize in his connection with Anaya. That Anaya was doing him wrong. That Anaya was the one that was so insecure, not realizing part of the reason that she was in her head is because multiple people in that villa were telling her multiple things. And that's a whole nother layer. Zach Attack and Bryce saw what Anaya and Casey had. They were considered mom and dad of the villa. They were considered the top couple in that villa. And they saw that they had an opportunity to win because they know the history of this show. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, those seeds that kept getting planted during the challenges, and then telling Anaya, whether it was Zack Attack or Sincere, telling her offline, oh yeah, Casey said this behind your back. And then Bryce downloading a little bit twisting of the words of something Casey said about them being in the top to Trinity, because he knew Trinity was going to run that back to Anaya so that Anaya could get back in her head once again and question and doubt this connection with Casey. And then from there, all Bryce and Zack Attack and Corbin got to do in Casa is just let Casey know, listen, look at here. We haven't seen you happy like this with Anaya. You've been so miserable with Anaya. As if we have not seen scenes of Casey being happy with Anaya, as if we have not seen scenes with Casey and Anaya cuddling multiple times in bed, kissing multiple times in bed. And Casey, it hasn't clocked for him yet that this was not, the way he went about this was completely wrong. The way he went about this was completely wrong. And unfortunately, Ciara and Teffy, y'all commentary on Anaya last night, it just wasn't cool. It just wasn't cool because it didn't come from a place of any sympathy or empathy. You saying she should have did what Kenzie did, as if Corbin's, you know what I'm saying, what was on full display. His was on full display during the actual heart rate challenge. Casey wasn't. He was lustful, yes, and doing the most during the heart rate challenge, but his comments were not the same as Corbin's. He did not say, I'm done with Anaya, throw Anaya out the window, our connection is over, like Corbin did. So how would Anaya know that this man didn't like her like that this man was off her like that? She didn't know. Kenzie knew immediately that Corbin was off her from that. So it's crazy how now all of a sudden we got to blame editing. This is a 6-hour show and da-da-da-da-da-da, right? When it's clear as day that they're trying to bring back Carl for Anaya. And then y'all trying to have a dare and have the Casa people kiss each other, and they just found out that, you know, 2 of them are going to be back to, you know, come back on the show. That was so awkward. Sydney was so thirsty for Anaya's leftovers, and I just didn't understand. She's out there, she's got her lips puckered up to Carl to kiss him and peck him or whatever, and it was just weird. It was just weird behavior. And then people are already trying to push Amara and Carl together. You know what I'm saying? And if that was the case, y'all, they would have just dumped Anaya. Carl is back specifically for Anaya. It is not a crime that Carl said that Amara was pretty, Amara was attractive. And I know Amara said that she's not trying to be in the Sincere and Melanie sandwich, but that's what she's going to do. That is what she's going to do, unless she's going back there to pursue Melanie. You know what I mean? Like, who else is she going to go after? Casey? She's not going to go after Brittany and Trinity. They're locked in. She's not going to go after Kata and Zach. They're locked in. You know what I'm saying? So who else is she going to go after? Like it's like, I need y'all to put 2 and 2 together. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to come back here because I was just very disturbed by Ciara and Teffy's like, oh, we're just going to blame the editing, that you guys didn't see anything, that this film for 6 hours type of narrative, when Anaya is receiving so much hate right now online and people are cheering, you know what I'm saying, at the way Casey handled her. And I've never seen a reaction like this on this show, where it is okay for black men to speak like this to black women in front of all of our faces. Like, this is what the norm is. Well, like, it's crazy. So nonetheless, that's it for this video. I need y'all, you know what I'm saying, do y'all big one, participate in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.